She came to my club, ready to publicly humiliate me, completely unaware of surprise waiting for her. As she watched from the crowd, I strolled out confidently with 3 breathtaking young women by my side. With a smirk, I turned to one of them and said, "Tonight, you're coming with me." I expect to be thoroughly entertained. The look on her face was priceless. Pure shock mixed with disbelief. But what happened next would be far worse for her. The embarrassment she had planned for me was nothing compared to the revenge I was about to deliver, the betrayal I never saw coming. For 25 years, I had been the perfect husband. I had built a life with Vanessa from the ground up. We met when we were young, me, an ambitious entrepreneur struggling to build a business, and her, a woman who claimed to believe in me and support my dreams. I truly thought we were a team, fighting side by side for a future we both wanted. And when success finally came, I made sure Vanessa had everything she could ever desire: a lavish home, luxurious vacations, a car that matched her refined taste, and complete financial security. She had it all. Never in my worst nightmares did I imagine she would throw it all away for something as ridiculous as a midlife crisis. But she did. It started subtly. She grew distant. Our conversations became shorter, more mechanical. The laughter that once belonged only to me was now being shared with someone else. Then, one evening, she sat me down with an expression I couldn't quite read and shattered my world. "David, I've met someone." I stared at her, the weight of those words sinking in. "You've met someone?" I repeated, as if saying it aloud would make it any less real. She nodded, completely unfazed. "He's younger, exciting. He makes me feel things I haven't felt in years. I don't want to hurt you, but I think it's time we go our separate ways." At first, I couldn't speak. This woman, the one who had vowed to stand by me through everything, was walking away because I was no longer exciting. And then she delivered the final blow. "You're just predictable now, David. I deserve to feel alive again." 25 years together meant nothing to her. I wasn't even angry in that moment, just numb. A week later, I signed the divorce papers without a fight and walked away. At least, that's what she thought. The rise of a new man. Losing Vanessa set me into a free fall. The silence of the house was suffocating. The image of her with another man tormented me every night. I could have drowned in self-pity, but instead, I made a decision. I would rise. I threw myself into my work, expanding my business empire beyond what I had ever imagined. But I didn't stop there. I rebuilt myself from the inside out. I hit the gym, sculpted my body, and transformed my entire look. Gone was a comfortable, predictable businessman. In his place stood a man of confidence, power, and undeniable presence. Then I took things one step further. I used my wealth to purchase an exclusive gentleman's club. Not some rundown dive, but an elite, high-class establishment where the rich, powerful, and influential gathered. It became a roaring success, drawing celebrities, politicians, and business moguls alike. And I ran it all. I had reinvented myself. I was no longer the David she had left behind. I had become someone unrecognizable, someone she would soon come to regret losing. The ultimate payback. I was going to prove my point. 3 years passed. Vanessa had been living what she thought was her dream life, but reality was far less glamorous. Her so-called exciting new lover lacked financial stability, security, and the lavish lifestyle she had once taken for granted. Still, her pride kept her from admitting the truth, even to herself. Then one fateful evening, she unknowingly walked straight into my domain, the very club I owned. I was seated in the VIP lounge, sipping my drink, when I spotted her entering with a group of old friends. She was laughing, flaunting herself, and speaking loudly, probably desperate for attention. I observed quietly as she tried to recapture the admiration she once effortlessly commanded. And then she said something that sealed her fate. "God, men these days are so dull. I need a real man again." I bet David is still miserable, probably wasting away in some dingy apartment alone. Her friends burst into laughter, but I just smiled. She had no idea that she was standing in the heart of my empire, no idea that I was watching her from above. and no idea about the reckoning that was coming. It was time to give Vanessa the humiliation she had planned for me. I rose from my seat in the VIP section and made my way toward the bar, deliberately passing by her. The moment she saw me, she froze. "David," she whispered, her eyes widening in disbelief. I didn't even acknowledge her. Instead, I walked up to a group of stunning women gathered near the VIP area. They were models, influencers, women who exuded status and elegance. I met the gaze of a breathtaking brunette in a silk dress and slowly traced my fingers down her arm. In a deep, confident voice, I murmured, "Tonight, you're coming with me. I expect to be thoroughly entertained." She giggled, leaning into me, clearly intrigued. Vanessa's jaw dropped. The laughter of her friends died, replaced by awkward silence. The second-hand embarrassment on their faces was unmistakable. She had come here to humiliate me. Instead, she stood there, shocked, envious, and utterly defeated, as I walked out with 3 gorgeous women draped around me. And that was just the beginning. The trap was set. The next morning, I received a message. "Vanessa, David, I didn't know. Can we talk?" I smirked. She had taken the bait. She had expected to find me broken, a washed-up relic of the past. Instead, she had witnessed my transformation, powerful, thriving, and surrounded by success and beauty. Now, she wanted back in. I sent a simple reply. "Meet me at the club. We'll talk there." She arrived that evening, the desperation clinging to her like cheap perfume. I let her talk, let her ramble about regrets, about how much she missed me, about the mistakes she had made. Then I smiled. It was time for the final blow. "Before we talk, I want you to meet someone." I gestured toward the elegant woman standing beside me, stunning, poised, and confident. "Vanessa, this is my fiancée." The blood drained from her face. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I wasn't done. "Oh, and one more thing," I continued, letting my words twist a dagger. "I own this club. Welcome to my empire." She stumbled back, utterly shattered. Her entire world had just collapsed in front of her. But my revenge wasn't over. Public humiliation was just the first step. One night of shame wasn't enough. I wanted her to experience the same fall from grace she had forced me to endure. I wanted her to understand what it felt like to be discarded, to lose everything. The first thing I did, I made sure she became a social outcast. For years, Vanessa had built her identity around being the wife of a wealthy businessman. She had connection, status, and an open invitation to most exclusive social circles. But those circles, they were mine to control now. The price of betrayal. I had risen to heights Vanessa could never have imagined. My influence now reached into elite business circles, exclusive events, and high-profile gatherings. With just a few well-placed calls, I set my plan into motion. By the end of the week, Vanessa began noticing the shift. Invitations to lavish parties stopped coming. Messages she sent to old friends were met with silence. The very social circle she had once relied on to validate her status was now shutting her out. And the best part? She had no clue why, until she discovered exactly what I had orchestrated. Vanessa had always pretended to be independent. But I knew better. Yes, she had walked away with a chunk of the divorce settlement, but she burned through it at an alarming rate. Lavish spending, reckless indulgence, and of course, financing her new boy toy. But wealth, when mismanaged, doesn't last forever. And now, she was struggling. I decided to accelerate her downfall. Through my network, I subtly spread whispers within her workplace. Careful, calculated words about her financial troubles and desperation to claw her way back up the social ladder. In the business world, desperation is a death sentence. Opportunities dried up. Job offers disappeared. Colleagues who once admired her now saw her as a liability. Her once pristine reputation crumbled. Forced to adapt, she sold her luxury car, moved out of her expensive apartment, and abandoned the lavish lifestyle she once flaunted. And her so-called exciting young lover? He vanished the moment the money ran out. Vanessa had become a shadow of her former self, broke, alone, and socially disgraced. But I wasn't finished. The final lesson. For the last act of my revenge, I arranged a meeting, not at my club, not at a high-end restaurant, but at a modest, everyday coffee shop, the kind of place she would have once sneered at. She arrived wearing simple attire, her once unshakable confidence replaced by hesitation. "David, thank you for meeting me." I gave a small nod, saying nothing. I wanted her to speak first. She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "I made a mistake," she finally admitted, her voice subdued. "I was foolish. I threw away the best thing in my life. I thought I wanted excitement, but what I really needed was security." She paused, then met my gaze with pleading eyes. "I know I don't deserve it, but can we try again?" I studied her for a long moment, then let out a quiet chuckle. "Vanessa," I said smoothly, "I think you're mistaken." Her brows furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" I leaned forward slightly, watching the discomfort flicker across her face. "I didn't come here to patch things up," I said, my tone calm, unwavering. "I came to see the woman who threw me aside for a younger man, only to end up alone, broke, and begging." Her face drained of color. "David, I lifted a hand, silencing her. "You thought I'd be your safety net, that after humiliating me, after breaking me, I'd take you back like some lovesick fool?" I smirked, the final dagger already poised. "I just want to see you realize firsthand that I moved up in life, and you've hit rock bottom." Her lips trembled, her eyes glistened with unshed tears. She had no words left. I rose from my seat, tossed a few bills onto the table for my coffee, and looked at her one last time. "I hope the younger men were worth it, Vanessa," I said smoothly, "because now no one wants you." And with that, I walked away. No second chances. Vanessa tried to reach out after that. She sent texts, made calls, even attempted to show up at my club. I ignored her every time. She had sealed her own fate years ago. She traded security for temporary thrills, stability for recklessness, love for lust. And in the end, she was left with nothing. And me? I walked away stronger than ever, with a life she could never touch again. Because some betrayals can never be forgiven. And when karma comes knocking, it collects every last debt